I am so excited to speak to our guest today. She is a doctor out of the Austin, Texas area. Please help me to introduce Dr. Dietz.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate you reaching out.
Yes, no worry. I'm so excited to speak to you. I know you're going to have a great insight. So let's jump right in.
Hi, my name is Jonathan McLean, and I'm the founder and CEO of McLean Aesthetics.
Welcome to the dark side.
Let's go. So, Dr. Dietz, let's rewind back to the beginning. What did you do your residency in, and kind of what did you do prior to aesthetics?
My residency training, my board certification is actually in emergency medicine. So I am not one of the core four as they label it. You know, I'm not plastics, dermatology, ophthalmology, or ENT. But when I started to become a mom, I noticed I constantly had that little frown line going on. Everyone was asking me, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I realized I was an aging woman, and that for probably the rest of my life, I was going to want to do something about that. So at that time, I started looking into aesthetic training. One of my good friends is a board certified dermatologist in New York, in Manhattan, and she kind of encouraged me and guided me along the way. And said, you know, you can do this if this is something that you're interested in taking up the training. So I started looking into the training, honestly, more to just treat myself or have friends that a core group of us would treat each other. But it ended up that I was the only one who took any of the training. So I ended up treating kind of friends and family, and gradually that's how I started. My husband is the one, though, he's more business minded. My brain always goes to just taking good care of people. But he's the business brain. And he's like, you know, you're actually losing money, right? And he's like, you're just charging for the product. So you should really look into at least break even, but consider making a business out of this. So I started the training probably 10 years ago. And then I started my business in 2017. That's when I just gradually was doing it more as a side gig to my emergency medicine. And then I got into leadership in emergency medicine. I got my team, it was a nice team in a big level 2 trauma center, and then COVID hit. So I was working really hard to get them through COVID. And then leadership things started to take a shift. The company was taking a shift, and I couldn't with a whole heart really lead that team the way that I was being asked to. So I felt like it was a great opportunity at that point. I was being presented with an opportunity to expand my business instead of just being something very small. I had a in-home medical office. I kind of finished out a room in our home to be able to do procedures, but I was being offered the opportunity to grow and to run out of space with kind of another business. And so I started to look at that as an opportunity instead of as like a big obstacle, I guess. And that's when I really pivoted and came into aesthetics, I'd say, more fully. I still do it only 3 days a week. And I'm still in emergency medicine. I still work emergency medicine. I'm still a leader, but in a different space. And I do that, you know, typically 1 day a week, and then my aesthetics 3 days a week. So that's how I ended up here. Mm-hmm.
Nice. How difficult or how challenging was it switching over from like working in the hospital to doing something like aesthetics?
It is a big difference. I mean, my brain for emergency medicine, of course, goes to worst case scenario. So in that sense, everybody worries about the complications in aesthetics. And I think my brain, you know, that's uncomfortable for everyone, but my brain is a little bit more comfortable with it, that if something bad is going to happen, I can get into that go mode and I'm like, all right, I know how to take care of this. So that wasn't that difficult, but it's the populations, right? I'm used to having people coming to me that are sick. It's more life-saving, you know, skills that I'm providing, as opposed to the more creative side of my brain, the artistic side of my brain that I don't get to use a lot. And so this really gave me that opportunity to do that. And in addition, the scheduling is much different, right? So I don't have to do flippity floppity nights, weekends, holidays. it gives me better life balance. So that was definitely a positive, that I could shift into something more steady for myself, for my family, being a mom, having kiddos, being more present. But it's definitely a bit of a switch. And also then charging people money, right? Like cash. In the ER, we're just like, whatever, we don't know. Can you afford it? Can you not? We don't care. We're just going to take good care of you. But in this realm, you have to ask people for money to pay for what they're getting. So that was a little uncomfortable at first. And again, my husband's brain's just like, you're a physician. Why are you not charging what you're worth? So all those things have been a little tricky to get into, but for great reasons, it's been a really nice change.
That's an interesting point that you just mentioned, charging with your worth. That's such a small comment, but it means so much.
It
What
really
does that kind of mean to you?
Well, okay. So for me, I had, and I think a lot of people probably face this, you have a little bit of the imposter syndrome. So in the physician realm, I know that there are many other injectors, nurse practitioners, nurses, estheticians in different states. But for me, even being a physician and being well trained, again, there's the reminder that you're not one of the core four. So this was not part of your residency training, despite the fact, of years of experience. And procedurally, I would say emergency medicine has prepared me above and beyond what others get, because I'm really good at procedures. But so there was that challenge of overcoming, I'm a doctor, but I'm not, a dermatologist or something. So I really just try to stay true to me. I let people know that, listen, this is what I bring to the table. If there's a point where there's something that I realize I can't provide what you need, I know my lane. I know that, hey, this is beyond me. You're going to need a dermatologist. I need them to go look at this. I'm uncomfortable with this spot. Or, you know what, I think really what you're asking for is a blepharoplasty. You probably need, an upper and lower bleph. Or if your expectations are just like, you want everything done, you want it to be stretched perfect, I'm like, you probably need a plastic surgeon. You're going to need a facelift, neck lift, etc. But I also came to the realization that I've gone to plastic surgeons, I've gone to dermatologists, and they're great at what they do, but a lot of them don't inject their patients. They have somebody else injecting. So I found it actually rare in my space that I am a physician and I inject my own patients. And for that reason, I have people gravitating towards me. So once I got through that uncomfortable moment of that imposter syndrome and just accepting it and saying, I can do this and I can do it really well. I think, it's been that acceptance, and then quickly you just move through it. And you start to shine, you start to let your own light shine, and people see that and they want to come to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I would also agree with to the point that you just mentioned about being a doctor and injecting your own patients. Many of the practices I work with don't hire MDs as injectors, and actually I don't know too many MDs that do inject.
Yeah.
But the ones that do are really good at it because they specialize.
Yeah.
They become really great at it. Why do you think it is like that right now?
Cost. I think a lot of it has to do with cost. We're seeing it in medicine in general, that if you can hire a nurse practitioner or PA to do something similar as a physician, then you're going to save money. Certainly, I see the appeal to that, even in private practices, in private plastic surgery, dermatology. They'll allow the nurse or a PA or somebody else to inject while they, perform the surgery. That's going to be the higher cost or income for them, is to do the surgery and then let the other procedures for somebody else to do it. It's the kind of the time, money, ROI question. But I think in medicine in general, when you look at the global perspective from that it's going to, I think it's going to come down, something bad is going to happen. Bad things have happened already. I think people can be really great at what they do, but the problem is they don't know what they don't know. And so even with our extensive training and time, we don't know everything. And so you have to know your boundaries and refer out to people that do know something. And I think that these companies that are starting to run medical practices, private equity groups, et cetera, they're seeing the cost savings, but they're forgetting about that human aspect of really treating the patient and giving them the best person, for that job that has the knowledge. A lot of physicians are getting burnt out and they're frustrated. So they are gravitating maybe to businesses like this, or they're leaving altogether to find other things to do. So yeah, I mean, I guess the short answer is money, but the long answer is everything else that, I touched on.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Do you believe there's a lot of like VC private equity money being thrown into this industry right now?
I do. Yeah, I do. You see it a lot. I mean, they're the ones with the deep pockets, and physicians in general. I mean, this was a struggle for me. Again, I'm trained medically. I'm trained to take great care of people, but I'm not trained in business. So they are the ones that are trained financially to be able to run a business. For me, I have to go out and learn that, or I have to hire that out. So there's loopholes, right? That they technically can't practice medicine, but they can put a director and get the physician's name on the business and then run a practice like that. But then you'll see that they'll start making requirements, like you have to see X amount of patients per hour, you have to do this or that, because they need to recoup the money. And so it's not less about taking great care of people and more about the money, which it just stinks. It's a little bit sad about the shift in medicine over the last several years.
Do you think a lot of people are like jumping onto this industry to get like a lot of fast money, I would so to speak?
You mean those groups, those private equity groups?
Or just like, a lot of nurses or providers that are just jumping from different industries, like, hey, I want to try this out.
Yeah.
Or
I think yes. And I think also the allure for physicians, especially if they have their own private practice, and they're tired of dealing with insurance. The only people that win there are the insurance companies. So it's like you pay thousands of dollars a year for insurance coverage, right? And then you still get this big bill. People think it's the doctors. It's not the doctors. The doctors aren't really getting that money back, but the insurance companies are winning. And so physicians are getting, again, exhausted from that. So they see this as a cash business that they can get away from accepting insurance and use cash. But we're also seeing, I think, a huge increase in concierge medicine, whether it's just your PCP is saying, I'll give you more of my time, which is what I want to do. And for that value for you, that you're not rushed, I don't have to squeeze you into that 15-minute time slot. This is a cash, only practice now. So I can only take on a few patients so that I can take more time with you, but they're stepping away from accepting insurance, which I get it 100%. And yes, this space is great for that purpose. I mean, if you're looking to make $1 bazillion just doing Botox or fillers, you know what I mean? There's not a huge margin there. So I would say that's kind of a false hope for people. You're going to have to do other things, but the potential is there. Yes.
Nice. And I have seen that model where you get more of, your doctor's time. They come to your house and kind of treat you there. And I like it personally because I think if you're able to afford it, in insurance-based hospital systems, like they rush you like out the door, like you want to talk, you want to explain a little more. So if you're able to afford it, I think it's amazing to be able to come to your house and really have that one-on-one.
Agree. Even with the emergency department that I work for now, it's I don't know if they have them all over the U.S., but in Texas we do. They're called freestanding emergencies. So they're not attached to a hospital, but they offer that same concierge level service where it's amazing. I go in and it's not like the go, and putting out a fire every 2 seconds. I get to actually sit and talk to people. And I've had people so grateful. They're like, I have a doctor, but I can't get in to see them. They're very rushed to see me. This is the first time I've had somebody sit and talk to me for more than 15, 20 minutes. So I understand like the issue. I understand how to treat it. I understand. And that's really when we went to medical school, was to connect with people and to heal people, to make them feel better. Not just to, we're not seeing dollar signs. It's a nice reward for the time, effort, money that you're investing in your education, but That's not really why most of us went into it. We went into it to take care of people. So if you get that one-on-one and that feedback from someone that they are learning and they're learning how to take great care of themselves, that's what we want. So it is a beautiful thing. We have the time to spend with people.
Amazing, amazing. Now, what are the hot or trending procedures in the Austin area that people are asking for when it comes to aesthetics?
I think probably, hopefully, this is a big trend that's going to continue everywhere. But a lot of my patients, they like the natural look. They want to be, it's the secret, right? Like I want to look amazing, but I don't want people to know that I've had something done. So my passion is in that regenerative medicine or biostimulators. It always has been, and I see more people trending towards it and appreciating it more. It's hard. It's been a long haul. These things are not new, whether it's the peptides, the semaglutides are a big deal, people losing weight, peptides in general, platelet-rich plasma, PRP. These things have been around a long time. Sculptra, these things have been around. It's just that they're finally gaining traction, and the allure, they are not your instant gratifiers. I tell people all the time, if you want instant gratification, you're going to want like Botox or fillers. But if you're patient and you want to look just like you, but younger, rewind the clock a little bit, then these are really the procedures that you want. So it depends. I try to take my patients on a journey and really understand their goals. And if they're on that short-term journey where they need to look really good for an event or a wedding, then we make sure that we accomplish that. And then I try to take them on that journey for that long haul, which are like biostimulators, something to help regenerate the collagen elastin, help to replace and restore things that they've lost. Otherwise, I tell them we're simply putting a Band-Aid on a problem. And next year, the same time, I'm going to see you again, and you're going to need the same amount of product or more, because you've lost collagen elastin. We've done nothing to replace it.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's amazing. Now, for providers that are looking to start their own business, what are some tips that you can give to them?
Oh, I would say ask for help. It's hard to do this all by yourself. So if you are starting and you don't have the money to fund it yourself, then start simple. I think it's easy to get distracted by bright, shiny objects. There's new things coming out all the time. You want everything at first, but try to just start small. And advice was given to me of maybe pick a line, maybe pick Allergan or pick Galderma. Pick one of the big lines that has a toxin and has fillers. Learn everything that you can about those products and learn how to use them really well. Learn where they go, etc. How that you can just make the best of that line of products. Once you get really good at that, then you can move on to adding on to something else and then growing gradually. I did the same with even, devices. You're going to have people knocking on your door all the time trying to sell you lasers and things, but don't jump into it. Take your time, learn as much as you can. And when you're ready to make that decision, what your patients want, then it's fine to jump in.
What are some pitfalls with lasers?
Well, I think pitfalls can be that you don't know what questions to ask initially. I know when I started in this new space, probably 2 years ago, I had people coming in immediately, and they make every laser and device sound like it's the best thing that's ever been made. That's their job. They're sales, right? So they're supposed to do that, but your job is to take a step back and ask about the research. Give me the white papers behind it. Ask about consumables, because I think that's a hidden cost. People have no idea. Some companies charge you for pulse counts. You get a certain amount, and then you've got to go back and spend thousands of dollars more to get your little card or whatever refreshed. Some people charge for every upgrade, instead of just coming and it's literally like a USB plug in and update, they will charge you tens of thousands of dollars for that. So ask all those questions up front. If you can have a device that once it's yours, and there are very minimal consumables that go along with that or extra costs, I think that's probably a great deal. But again, you just have to do your research, take your time, don't be pressured. I think that's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Now, what are some conferences that as an aesthetic professional you can attend to gain more knowledge?
It depends on your goals. I am big on the regenerative medicine, so I've gravitated to some of those, whether it's like doing joint injections, hair restoration with PRP. I recently went to the AmSpa conference. That was my first time going there, and I really thought they did a great job, honestly, making it interesting for physicians all the way to, estheticians, to the business lines. The different business tracks that they offered, I thought were great. They offered it for people that were ready to sell their practice versus people that were getting started in practice. So I appreciated that, not having a business background, but being able to go and learn different things and connect with people. And they are really great about making it an inviting space for people. I think far too frequently in business in general, we get competitive, but they were really good about making it more of a space where you could connect and you could share ideas. And it was more of a think tank, which I think was great. But if there's something that you're interested in, certainly there's going to be a specialist in any of those fields. So you may find kind of the guru that does that and look for their conferences. I think Dr. Arthur Swift is a big name. He does a great job with training. But yeah, I think it just depends on what you're looking for.
Awesome. Now, who are some key opinion leaders in the industry that you can recommend for the audience to look up, follow, and learn more?
I heart me some Dr. Shino Bay. I think he's great. I think it's a testament to who he is and what he does. The fact that I think every single company hires him as a speaker because he does. He uses all of the products and he has his little niche that he's able to find the right patient population for those products. So he doesn't really say, oh, I love just, Allergan or Botox. He likes each one for different reasons. So I think that's great. Two, he's just fun. He's a great human being inside and out. He's fun. He's funny. I think he's got the life-work balance going for him, which is great. And he's a big proponent of Sculptra, which again is one of those biostimulators. So I love him. I like Dr. Rajani. I like PRP, PRF. I like Dr. Karimi. He does a lot of those things as well. And then I'd say people to follow for me, again, my brain goes to worst case scenarios. So there are docs that are doing really great things, impressive things with ultrasound technology. In ER, I'm trained in ultrasound to diagnose things, but in the aesthetic world, we use ultrasound to help treat complications or prevent complications. So they're starting to use ultrasound to really do mapping to find out, look, you have a big vessel here. I don't want to go in there, or shifting to cannulas more. Or if there is a complication, then those are the people, Dr. Stella, Dr. Weiner, that train how to go in and then to treat the complication with ultrasound. So I think those are some key players that I've been watching.
Yes, and check them out. I'm going to list them below so everybody can follow. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me, speaking more about the aesthetic industry. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you got planned next.
Sure. You can find me online. My website is ritzxv.com. All of the Instagrams, Facebook, I'm at ritzxv.com. What do I plan next? I'm just going to keep going, keep moving, keep shining. And I honestly, my goal is to pull other people with me. So if I can help other physicians avoid burnout and just make some better work-life balance, that's my goal in the future.
Awesome. And until next time, bye.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jonathan. Bye-bye.